back with another craft. Today, we are making toilet paper roll, frog, or shark little catchers. So you can play it as a game and catch their things in their mouth. It's pretty fun. So, right now, I just want to show you the two that I've made and then talk about what supplies we need. We are going to make a frog in our video, but I want to show you that you can also make a shark. So I put little teeth on there and a fish for him to catch and some fins. So I will show you all the things that go with him, but we're just going to make a frog today. All right. So our supplies. The first thing you'll need is an empty roll of toilet paper. If you do not currently have one, you can get a paper towel roll and cut it. So what I did, this is a paper towel roll, is I cut it into about thirds. So as close as you can with the same size of a toilet paper roll, and then cut it, okay? And it's pretty simple, but once again, make sure that you ask for assistance if you need it. And then you cut it right through. There we go. All right, so our first thing, toilet paper roll or paper towel roll. Then some scissors. You know me, I always like to have a pencil or writing utensil. Some sort of adhesive. So I've used some glue stick and I also used tape. And the best way to put it together is using a stapler. But if you don't have it, the tape and adhesive can work. We just need to hold it a little harder. And then, so I did it two different ways. This one is covered in paper. This one is colored with markers. So you can do whatever you have. I have some markers that I colored my frog with. And I also have some paper. So you'll need a color for the outside and then any additional things you want to do and its fins or its legs. And then for the fish or the little fly. I also used googly eyes on my shark, but you can also just draw them on with marker. So we are going to do a little frog friend here. We're gonna start with that. Oh, last thing, some string to attach. It can be any kind of string or yarn, maybe even like if you can find some elastic or something, anything, okay? All right. Start with that. So what I want to do first, we are going to make a frog friend. What I want to do first is if I'm covering him in paper, I want to measure my paper. If I'm covering him with marker, I would color it first before we squeeze it down, okay? So this step, you are either coloring with markers or covering with a piece of paper. I am going to just put this right here and measure how tall my toilet paper roll is. Ta-da! And then we're going to cut it across. Safety with scissors. Always take your time. Cut away from yourself. If you need assistance, that is okay. Please ask. There we go. Another thing before we close up our froggy is to color or put paper on the inside. So right here in the mouth, you can make it red or any color really, if you want a silly colored frog. So I am going to cut just a small line of red to put in the mouth. And I'm actually gonna do that first before we put the outside on. I'm going to use a glue stick. Once again, if you want to use tape or anything else, please do. Just remember not too much. I'm gonna cover this side. All right, just enough. So this is the tricky part. You gotta get it all in there. So start at one point, make sure you squeeze it, because that's kind of the hardest part, making sure it stays with this craft. All right, so we're gonna squeeze it in there for a little bit. Make sure it's covering the whole thing. Ta-da! Little froggy mouth. Always give it an extra little squeeze. Okay. Our next is the color. And remember, if you are using markers, just color it on up. And go around the edges with my glue. I might cut off the end here, so I'm not going to put glue on it yet. All right. Well, let's see. Once again, got it. Squeeze it nice and tight, and you're going to roll the paper on. And add a little more. Boop, 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 boop. I like doing sound effects while I do crafts. All right, so squeeze it on there and then slowly roll it. You might have some troubles keeping it on until you get to the edge. Now, I apologize, I skipped a step. I am going to cut this off so we don't have excess paper. So after you see how far you go, you want a little bit of overlap. Add some glue to the edge there, and then we're gonna do our squeezing. Get it on, roll it tight, and squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. To make sure it stays. All right, and go around again, make sure the whole thing is all squeezed on there. We have a little froggy body. All right, so we have come to the point where we're gonna squeeze the end of our toilet paper roll together. Remember that you wanna be on the opposite side of where you put the mouth color, okay? And at this point, we need our piece of string. So I have this ball that I am going to measure from the end of my toilet paper roll to just, I'd say a couple inches past, okay? You can always cut it more if you don't like how long it is later, okay? So I like to give myself just a little bit of working room. Be very careful when cutting. And then we are gonna put it inside our frog and just a little bit coming out the end, okay? So to put it together, if you are using tape or a glue stick, make sure you squeeze it, and then I would put something heavy on this end until it completely dries. If you are using a stapler, please ask for assistance because you're gonna have to push really hard. I want it to make sure that my string isn't going anywhere, so I'm gonna aim right there where the string is. And push. Okay, and then another one, and a third for good measure. Ta-da! So we have our little froggy body all put together. Okay, all right, so our next step is his legs. For the legs, you can do lots of different things. I did these little kind of bendy ones, so it looks like he's jumping. And then these ones for the top. But you can use all the same legs on all four, okay? Or you can just make little one kind of stick arms. So that is fine too. I like to have a pattern so that I can trace it onto my green paper. So I'm gonna get the same color paper or the same color marker. as I did for the body of my froggy. And then I'm gonna trace it. Now, a reminder, if you are doing one-sided coloring paper, so I'll show you what that kind of looks like after I trace him. If you are doing one-side color paper, make sure you flip the arms, okay? So you know how our hands, the thumbs are in the middle? They're not like this, right? So just remembering that way, that's the way his arms go. Now, you can make them as big or small as you want. Just if you make them small, like what I am doing, be very careful with the small cutting of the hands, okay? Trace his little legs. So one goes this way. Basically, when I made the legs, I just made kind of an L with a line coming down from it. And then the foot. And that helped a lot. I am more of a crafter instead of a drawer, so these just get to be as close as they're gonna be. Okay. And one more, because his leg comes out this way. Tracing this one. Technically, since I have two-sided paper, it doesn't matter as much that I do them one way or the other, but I wanted to show you of the difference. So on this guy, since I colored him, I have the other side white, right? So I want to make sure I have them angled the correct way so he doesn't look like a silly little backwards frog. Okay, now I'm going to cut out his legs. I like to cut a little bit of the paper off first so I don't have to mess with a lot of space. Then once again, if you make these small, be very careful with your cuts. Like I said, I'm a crafter, so I've done a lot of these things before. So yes, sometimes it looks easy, but it is not. You got to be very delicate and watch your fingers, especially when you're going around his little foot. Try to have a little space between your fingers and the scissors, and take your time. Crafting is not a race. You can always pause this video and come back. So there is one leg. Okay. And now our next one. I like this craft because it's an activity afterwards. It's not just something you put up. You can play it as a game. Challenge your friends and family to see who can get the little fly in the froggy's mouth. All right. So our frog has a second leg here. Ta-da! Now we just need the front legs. Once again, remember that you can ask for help. I want you guys to use your friends and family. Crafting is so much more fun when you're doing it with someone else. So always ask for help if you need it. our last froggy arm. Then we get to attach them. There he is. Okay. So I am going to use tape for these just so it's a little easier. So you get to decide which way is up for your frog. Since I have the crease of my paper, you can see that, I'm going to have this as my downside. So flip it over, bottom side up, and we're going to attach our armses and legses. Okay. I made them a little extra long so that there is plenty of space to attach. So I got a small piece of tape and I rolled it. And I put it on the underside of my leg and squeeze them on there. If you are using glue or another way of adhering, make sure you take time to push it on, okay? Little piece of tape, since they're little legs. Please ask for assistance. I struggle with rolling this tape. Once again, on the side that you want to attach. Make his little froggy legs, push it down. There we go. Now his little froggy arms. Little roll of tape on the side of the arm. And put it on. There we go. And one more. Then our frog will have 4 arms. Okay. And there he goes. So now we're gonna make sure that pushes on there. The nice thing about this is you can push from the back too. So if you want to put your finger in there and hold it tight. My inside of the mouth is not wanting to go put. So I'm gonna add a little piece of tape in here to make sure he stays. Give me a second. All right. Okay, there's our frog. He's got some arms and legs. Now, with his little tail here, he does not need to keep that. Very carefully cut up close. Boop. Now he does not have a tail. All right, now we get to decorate our frog. So what I did was cut out some circles. I'm gonna give him some spots down here. I, like I've said, am a crafter, and I have something called a paper punch, and it just punches out a little hole, little circle. Okay, so that's how I made circles, but you can trace things, you can do lots of stuff. Gonna use some glue. Just a little bit. Doop. And give him some froggy spots. Push it on there. Froggy spots. Just a couple down here at the bottom. Give him some character. And one more. There we go. So if you're doing it on the angle there, make sure you push it nice and tight. Okay. Our next step is his eyes. If you are just using a marker, make sure you just color them in right there. I'm gonna use googly eyes today. A little bit of glue. Whoop. And push really tight. There we go. Oh, glue doesn't want to stay, so we're gonna add tape instead. This is where it has to be very small if you have small googly eyes like me. it down. Nice little roll. And squeeze them on there. Ugh. There we go. And a second googly eye. And get him his second eye. There we go. Look at our little frog. He's looking pretty good, isn't he? So, the last thing is to add something for him to catch. Once again, I just made little circles. This is my fly. And then I made the same size circle in white for his wings. And what I'm going to do is just cut it in half very carefully. Another idea to make this little guy a little heavier is to use a button. So if you have a button, you can glue it on here, and then it's a little heavier to try to catch, which is nice. We're just going to use paper for now because that's what I have most of. So the reason I have two is I'm going to tape it on either side of the string. Like this. I think make him a little closer, so I'll cut off the edge later. Right there. Okay. So we're going to put another piece of tape, roll it up, and tape that down onto our fly. I made a very small roll, so I'm going to make two. If you make a big one, you'll just need one. And then, since our tape is sticky on both sides, we just need to put the other one on top of it and push. Then we have a little fly on the edge of our paper, or on the edge of our rope. So, for his little wings, I just put them right here like this. Now, since this one's going to be flying around, pun intended, I am going to use tape again, just because my tape is a little bit stronger than my glue stick. So if you do use glue stick, which is just fine, make sure you put something heavy on there so he stays. Little roll. Get it on our fly wing. And put him there. Push. Nice and tight, because our fly is going to be going everywhere. And one more. For that wing. I like him touching like that. So he looks like a little fly. And there we have our frog fly catcher. A pretty simple craft to do with some toilet paper roll or a paper towel. Now, with our shark, if you want to do a different one or another one, if you used a paper towel, you'll have multiple rolls, right? The only difference is putting a fish down here at the end and adding some fins. So these are all just little triangles. I also added teeth. So when I put in the mouth part, I just cut out little triangles of there. So I have a little tiny shark. So there's a couple fun different ways to make our craft. I hope you enjoyed and then can enjoy some fun afterwards when you try to catch the fly in the frog's mouth. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye!